You want to start out with some pancetta. And remember, Mr. Tamburini was talking about pancetta, and that is Italian bacon. And it's usually unsmoked. And I want to get that into a very fine mince. So I'm going to put some into my little trusty food processor here with 2 cloves of garlic and some fresh rosemary needles. And you can find pancetta in your grocery store, so it should not be a problem. And now you want to grind that up. Grind that up into a paste. Okay, now what we have to do, and you see how fine that is, we have to put that in a pan and we have to cook it. Get it in there, and you see how finely minced this is. And now we're going to let that go. I'm going to let that cook a while until it's nice and browned, and then we'll have to come back and look at it. So we need some flour. You want about 1 1/4 cups of sifted, unbleached, all-purpose flour. Oh, and about 1/2 teaspoon of salt goes in. And when you measure flour, make sure you use a really light hand with that. And then you want some milk. Here we have 1 1/2 cups of milk. So I'm going to put that in very carefully. You want a loose batter here, and it's best really to make this early in the day and let the batter set up. So I don't want to put all of the milk in at one time. And when I get it to this stage, that's when I add 1 egg. So 1 large egg goes in, and we'll stir that around. And we're going to give it just a little bit of olive oil. About 1 teaspoon or so of extra virgin olive oil goes in. So there's our olive oil. And now more milk, because that's just a little too thick. So I started out with about 1 1/2 cups of milk. And I make this up early in the day, and then I put it in the refrigerator, and I just let it sit around. You can make this about an hour later. And that's about the right consistency. You see that? It's pretty pancake-like. So that's our batter. So in our little pan, we want to add just a drop of olive oil. Just want to add a drop of olive oil and brush that around. So we don't want our crepes to stick. That's all there is to that. And now we're ready to go. So here's our mixture. And I take just a little bit of it, just not much, 2 or 3 tablespoons, and just swirl it around in the pan. You see? You just swirl it around. And you allow that to set up on the underside. You really don't want to touch that until you see that the sides are starting to solidify, and you'll know that you can flip it over when it doesn't look wet on the top. Now you see this edge here? Look, I can lift it and just turn it. And now you can just shake it. Just shake it around. And that cooks the other side very quickly. You just want to see these nice little brown marks on the top. And once you have the hang of this, this goes very quickly. You'll be turning these out one after the other. So when it moves loosely in the pan, then you want to flip it out. And there it is. And then just continue on making another one. So now what do we do with this? Well, what we do with it is we can now fill it with some of this filling mixture. So you bring over that mixture, the little prosciutto that I did for you, and you get a spoon and just take a little bit of it, because this is very, very tasty. And you don't need a lot because that'll be overkill. And you just spread a little bit of it over your crepe. 2 per person is a great serving. So again, you just fill it, turn it over, and that's it. What could be more representative of Bologna? But if you didn't want to do that, well, then you could just take those crepes that you made, the bolenghi, and you could use some of these wonderful meats. How about we take, obviously we have to have the mortadella, and you just put a thin slice of mortadella. You can open it up and have it flat and just eat it with a fork, just like that, because you see how thin it is. You could put on some prosciutto di Parma, just like that. You want to put on some capicola, you could do that. I'm going to move these over so you can see that now. And that would be another way to have it, just an open-faced sandwich. Or you could take those very same ingredients again, and you could also use cheeses with this. And let's do that mortadella again, because this is one of my favorites. Put a piece of mortadella on there, and let's put a piece of prosciutto. And you can just fold that up like a sandwich. It's a little thicker, but still, I think you'll enjoy it. So those are several versions on how you can do borlenghe in your own kitchen.